Welcome to the From Concealment Podcast, the show for firearm enthusiasts who like to shoot, train, carry, and compete. Get ready for some shooting and sight, firearm and accessory reviews, and of course, insight on conceal carry. And now, broadcasting from behind enemy lines in the From Concealment studio, it's Pete Mitchell and Dan Sams.
Hey, Freedom Nation, living in an unfree nation. This is Pete Mitchell.
And I'm Dan Sams.
And if I sound like I've lost my luster, I'm literally just kind of in awe at what has happened.
Yeah.
I don't even know honestly, Dan, I look at this, I'm like, I don't even know what to say. I don't even know where to start. I can't believe this world literally a month and a half ago, we were joking about the coronavirus. Like,
yeah, dude. Yeah.
You know. And then it's gone from that to, hey, just how much freedom can we trample on?
Mm-hmm.
Because we know the American people, they're not going to do a dang thing about it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we're at right now. Like,
I
was reading a great article this morning on the Federalist. And the headline is, the coronavirus is exposing little tyrants all across the country.
Yes.
And was just going over all of these completely unconstitutional rules. In fact, it really hit on, I believe it was a mayor, Louisville, Kentucky Mayor Greg Fisher banned drive-in church services on Easter. And a federal judge came back and reversed his decision and said, the mayor's decision is stunning and is so beyond all reason unconstitutional. Like, it took a judge to go, no, you cannot violate the First Amendment. First of all, they are social distancing in their cars.
Yeah.
And tyrant.
This is where I keep, I feel like I deal with so many different misunderstandings on all of these issues. But from the beginning, I've been saying this is not about a virus. And then people will be like, but the virus is real. And I'm like, man, I'm not saying the virus isn't real. What I'm saying is a whole bunch of these measures that are coming forth are not about the virus. And so we had this one wasn't in Kentucky. Where was it? Where they were fining people for doing one of those outdoor in-car services, parking lot services, where everybody, as you say, stays in their car. Nobody's risking infection.
I don't know. Let's see here. They did that at they did it at several places, but they did this one at Pastor Hamilton's King James Bible Baptist Church in Greenville, Mississippi.
Okay. One of these places.
That's the one where he's got him on video, and he goes, the cop says to him, your rights have been suspended. And he goes, no, my rights come from God and are protected by the Constitution. You don't have the authority to suspend them.
Yeah. So what's interesting is that cop had to go door or car to car, potentially transferring the virus as he went. So we had a group of people who were not in danger of spreading the virus, who were within their constitutional rights to meet, and yet he endangered them and himself by trying to issue fines. And that's when I say that is not about the virus.
Well, and I'm kidding you not. I have it paused here at 1:44 of the video. He's got his mask over his chin so he can talk to you. Like, it's on his chin. It's not on his mouth or his nose. It's on his chin. Like, this fat, bald cop. And I'm sorry I'm getting all like personal on him, but I'm pissed. I'm pissed at what you guys are doing.
Everything about this is wrong. And so that's where I keep saying, like, it is not about a virus. It is about tyranny. Once we've, first of all, I think it's been about tyranny in most states most of the time, but at least we can say, like, I can say in some cases where they're like, okay, I recognize they don't want to spread the virus. I get where some of them are coming from, even when they're not doing it constitutionally. There are a few that I'm like, okay, you don't get what you're doing, but maybe I can get your intention. But there is no way that the intention was to protect people. That was that was all tyranny. And well, then I had a discussion on Facebook with a friend of mine who's a cop, and Pete got to see this, and he's a nice guy, man. Like, I don't want to create undue problems But he's like, well, that cop probably didn't want to enforce that rule. And I'm like, wait, what? And I'm like, if he didn't want to, like, it's an unjust law. Like, he shouldn't enforce it. And so I proceed to engage with this cop and essentially say, hey, man, like, if the law is unconstitutional, keep in mind, your oath is to the Constitution, not to tyrants. And so if they try to tell you to do something unconstitutional, you have a right and a duty to refuse to enforce it. He's like, well, I don't know about that. We just got to keep following orders. And I'm like, no, you don't.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you right now, that scared me. Because
what was scary is, like, you were making your point, because I was watching this conversation unfold on Facebook. You're making your point of, if it's unconstitutional, you have a duty to not enforce it.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, literally the greatest thing in history to point out is Nazi Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, I didn't want to enforce it, but it was the law. I had to round up the Jews. I had to make the Jews get on the train. I had to make the Jews walk into the gas chamber. I mean, it was I was being told what to do.
Following orders.
Yeah. And that's the same mentality that we're running into here. And at the end of the day, your friend, I was like, dude, this is such a cop-out. He goes, well, I have an inside job now, so I don't have to make those decisions. And I was like, dude, that's a cop-out. Like,
it absolutely, quite literally, a cop-out.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And
well, and because you know what that's like? Because here's the thing. If he knows it's unjust, he acknowledges it's unjust, acknowledges it's unconstitutional, and yet says, because I have orders, I have to enforce it, then that means, like, there's no boundary then. All bets are off. So now anything they tell him to do, he's going to be willing to do. And so for somebody like him, now he's like, well, I don't have to make those decisions because I work inside. So, like, that means when they're loading Jews onto the train outside your window,
and you don't
have to make that decision because you're freaking doing paperwork. And I'm like, you were absolutely complicit at that point.
Yeah.
And that makes you
and you want to know how they've turned our police into this kind of a force where they just follow orders. It's the pensions. They control your money.
Mm-hmm.
They will strip your pension away if you violate them. You'll lose it, and they know it. So by money, they have controlled people and getting them to do things that they wouldn't normally do. And the people have allowed themselves to be controlled because they want the money more than they care about the rights that they're trampling. Not realizing they're trampling on their own rights. They're not going to be cops forever.
Yeah.
Like
the way they live.
That one cop, former cop, who got arrested in front of a 6-year-old daughter when they were playing on a baseball field at the park.
Mm-hmm.
And the judge was like, you're not social distancing. They're like, there's no one around us. You can't be here. Well, actually, the sign at the park said, just social distance. You can use everything, just social distance. And he got arrested. And he's like, because he wouldn't give him his name. He's like, no, I'm not giving you my name. I didn't do anything illegal. He's a former cop.
Yeah.
Like, he knows
he doesn't have to give a name.
But it's like, you're not going to be a cop forever. And when you're not a cop, you don't have the badge to hide behind, and your brothers in blue will come after you just like they come after us.
Yeah. So then we got to be real careful about our language here, but there is a philosophical discussion that needs to be had, a legal discussion, call it whatever you want, on, okay, so if my rights are being violated, my freedom is being violated, if they're going to take me away and put me in a cell or restrict my right to movement in any way, my rights are being violated, and I have a right to self-defense. And so something we should all be thinking about is we've all got a right to self-defense. At what point are we supposed to be using it? And say that with great caution.
That's a tough one on so many levels, because I was thinking about this morning, and I mean, it's the only thing I can think about, because so yesterday, we're recording this the day after Easter. Yesterday was Easter. Here in California, we're on, house arrest, illegal, unconstitutional house arrest. And our community literally closed down our parks specifically for Easter. Like,
what?
Yeah, no, they had already roped off all of the play equipment, but you could still go to the park, and they just had these signs up. Hey, remember to social distance. Kids are out there playing soccer. People go out there and they train and they social distance, whatever. So they put up signs. Well, we're just going to flat out close the park on Easter because on Easter, we don't want people coming together under any circumstances. Now, keep in mind that I live in Orange County, California. The daily tracker shows you what cities have how many people have coronavirus. There's literally 0 in my area. 0. No one. No one in Los Alamitos has it. I technically live in unincorporated Orange County. There's like 15 people in unincorporated Orange County, but that covers the whole frickin' county. So I highly doubt that it's like my area because like no one in my area has it. So there's first of all, there's not even a real threat. Like, it's not real. Not for us anyway. So we decide, hey, you know what? We're going to go to, we know it's closed. We don't give a crap, right? And the day before we'd gone out for a bike ride and I was literally knocking over the signs just everywhere. I was like, knocking them over. I'm like, and then they called the cops, right? And so then the cops like watching me and I'm like, oh, screw it. I'm not doing it now. I'm packing, and I'm like, dude.
Yeah, it's going to go bad.
I'm not going down that path, right?
Yeah.
It's not worth knocking over a sign for freaking cop, right?
Yeah.
So we decided we're going to ride down to this other park called Rossmore Park. Rossmore Park's about 2 miles from my house. So my daughter is 5. She just learned how to ride a bike last week. That's a good bike ride for her. 2 miles there, 2 miles back. And we did it, right? So we get down there and so we're just sitting on the one bench that they didn't rope off or someone else ripped off the stupid caution tape. I don't know which, didn't really care. So we're just sitting there. And so I take a selfie, me and the family. And my wife, she feels about this just like I do. Now, bear in mind, for those who don't know, I've been married for 20 years. So I'm not new to my wife, right? Like she knows where I stand on everything and I know where she stands. And we're in alignment actually on all of this.
Awesome.
And so she's been like, look, I don't care what you post on Facebook because this is ridiculous. And that's
right
like a first for her. Because normally,
good for her.
I know, right? Normally she's the peacemaker, blah, blah. And I'm like going off half-cocked. So I post on Facebook, the family that doesn't social distance together fights tyranny together or something like that. And then hashtag, we're in the park that's closed.
Yeah.
And I post that picture. And so, I start getting the likes from all of my friends who think like I do. Freedom lovers, as I like to call them. Freedom Nation, as we call it.
Yeah, the Freedom Nation.
And so my wife's oldest friend is, how do I say this? I would say she's got mental issues. And I don't mean like mental, I mean like she fears everything and always has. Like, I mean, that's part of who she is. And I've always known that about her. My wife's always known that about her. I mean, that's just kind of who she is. So she's gone off on Facebook the other way. So, I mean, out of respect for her opinion, I don't go on her stuff and I don't make comments on it because I know we're totally different. And I hit the, pause for 30 days button. I don't want to see your crap for 30 days. Yeah, I'm sure you don't want to see my crap. We're still friends. After all this is over and we all get back to, kumbaya, then, cool. Everyone's good again. So she sees the picture and she likes it. And I was like, wow, okay. She liked it. Okay. That kind of surprises me. So clearly she hasn't unfollowed me. And you've seen the stuff that I post on Facebook. I'm like, freaking tyranny, right?
Yeah.
And so then she writes some comment, something along the lines of, I hope if you get sick, you don't go to the hospital and waste all their resources or something like that, right? Because she's like, she's like, how dare someone leave their house?
How dare somebody go outside?
Not to mention, they've told us, go outside for exercise.
Yeah.
And
that's
social
one of the best
distance,
things you can do.
We weren't around anyone else. This is our family. We live together. Guess what? If one of us gets it, we all got it. Period.
Yeah.
Just the way it is. So I comment back something along the lines of, no, if I get it, I'm absolutely going to the hospital. I'm going to waste as much resources as I possibly can. All of this crap that I got to go through. And then I put, stay well. as my little, just stay well, right? And just left it at that. Now, I didn't know that in between that, she had sent my wife the nastiest, most vicious text I've ever read. And this is my wife's oldest friend.
Man.
And she's just like, and literally she says this, and I'm kind of half laughing because it's not like I really care. I mean, it's not like she and I are friends. I mean, we're friends only in the sense that, we see each other at family gatherings, but, I don't care, right? I don't care what she thinks about me, and she doesn't care what I think about her, I'm sure. But we've never had a bad relationship, ever. Mm-hmm. So she writes in the text, I always knew Pete was selfish from the day I met him.
What?
But I expected better from you. What if your kids get sick and my sister's on the front lines? I guess her sister works as a nurse or something. I don't know what. And, she's in danger every day. And I've been crying every day this last week and just like going off. And my wife, to her unbelievable credit, is incredibly gracious towards her. And it's just like, look, I'm going to pray for you. And, we just see things differently than you. And I mean, I was like, what? Because I would have been like, those would have been fighting words to me. Like, I'm literally coming up with like everything I would say to her, like, oh, since the first time I met you, I've never even thought about you. Like crap like that, right? So I'm coming up with all of them.
Do the Thanos, like, I don't even know who you are.
Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly. I don't know who you are. And so, I'm sorry I've become such a powerful figure in your life. You've never even made the backup for me. It's just like one of those kind of situations. And I'm like, my wife handled it incredibly well. Now, my wife was crying her eyes out.
Yeah,
right?
that hurts,
this is her
man.
oldest friend. And, and I'm like, dude, people are crazy.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so anything I do at this point with this lady is not going to be good. Well. Because she's in a mental state right now that is very unstable. And I don't mean like unstable, she's a danger to people. I mean like she is not thinking clearly.
Yeah. Well, the person who says, I'm crying every night, like that's, so like, even if it was legit, like, okay, if my wife died, I might cry every night, man. Like that would be, and I would also say, this is not a good time for me to be making big decisions, right? So if this is affecting her to that level, man, first of all, that's weird. Like it's just, nobody's died in her family yet. Like she needs to be cool. But if it is affecting her that much, then like she needs to not be like putting that on everybody else. She needs to like take some time, get herself collected, because you don't think rationally when you're overwhelmed emotionally. And so we would give her a pass if she would just pull it back. But no, man, the thing is, that's a person who is allowing the situation to affect her way too much. She's not keeping her, she's not keeping her head on straight.
To be fair, that's the way she's always been. So I look at it and I'm like, this isn't like an unusual thing.
Yeah.
She's got other issues, I believe, mentally. And I don't mean that like mental issue or mental disorder. I just mean like the way she processes experiences is different from, I would say, the majority of people. And so she takes it all very, personal, very, the world is ending. And that's just the way and so again, I look at it and I'm like, okay, first of all, I'm not going to say anything more to her. And because one, it probably wouldn't be nice right now, but two, it's not going to help anything. Like the relationship, when all of this is over, I still want to be friendly towards her. So when we do have those family get-togethers, because the way my wife's family is like once you're a friend, you're basically family. So everyone comes over to the family get-togethers, even if you're not biologically related, right? And I mean, her oldest friend's going to come, her parents are going to come. I mean, it's just that kind of a deal. And it's like, okay, I still want to be friendly, even though, my gut instinct is, the next time I see her, just to give her a double birdie and be like, leave me alone, chick. But I'm like, okay, but when all this is over and some rational mental health starts coming back, I don't think she's going to be this way. Now, she's always going to feel this way. Like, everyone should have stayed home, right? Everyone should have never left.
But she's not going to be amped up the same way.
But she's not going to be as amped up. right? Because the pressure will be off, the whole thing will be gone. But I'm looking at this going, man, this is the problem. This is what's going on in America today. And it's going to get worse. The longer you keep everyone cooped up inside, the more this is going to happen. I mean, even before we started, you said to me, you're like, I got to admit, man, I'm starting to get kind of sick of this whole home confinement thing.
Yeah, man. Well, because I'm blessed to work from home. I am in a better spot than most people. I work from home. There's a whole bunch of like back burner projects that I'm finally able to get to. I've had a wonderful time. I've got a little bit of land near me. I get to I really enjoy being home. I mean, it's been wonderful to be home. But even for me, and I mean, I love my family. We get along really well. But even for all of us, I'm getting to this place where I'm like, man, the regular rhythm of life is thrown off. It's harder to have it like I'm sleeping in more. And I have healthy things that I can do to fill my time and be productive. A lot of people don't. A lot of people are stuck, unable to do their jobs. Right. And they don't have the ability to do the fun things I get to do. I'm writing content for, the seminary system I work with, like all that kind of stuff. And even I'm kind of like, man, I'm getting sick of this, right? I can only imagine the guy who's been at this point since the beginning, and he's getting real antsy. And we're getting into that season where now people start saying like, screw this. And you start seeing not so good stuff happening.
And then when you add to that, these cops that are not following the Constitution, don't care about individual freedoms because they're above the law. I mean, cops live their lives above the law.
Yeah.
And they are. No one busts them. No one's going to bust them.
Well, you saw the thing where the cops had the barbers over to cut their hair.
Yes.
Right?
In Florida.
Where I'm like, so they'll go and arrest people for trying to provide for their family by doing underground haircuts, and yet they can have somebody over there to the shop to cut their hair, or to the police department. Like, that stuff gets me angry because that is total tyranny, seeing themselves as above the law. I'm like, I'm sorry, you don't need your haircut.
Hey, if we don't get to have ours cut, they don't get to have theirs cut.
Yeah.
You just got to find yourself an underground beauty salon like I did, and then you can get your hair cut.
Yeah, that's right, man.
I actually had so many women reach out to me going, can you please tell me who the underground beauty salon is? I was like, you got to have an in, man. And I barely had an in. So no, I can't give you an in.
We've got a lady in our church who she's got these like bangs, and they're always like, she's just this sweet lady who's always like, she's a grandma, but like she's just style on point. Her hair is always, and so she's like, I can't get my bangs cut, and so she's cutting them at home on her own, and they look good, but it's like she's like, it's not what I normally do.
I know, isn't that funny?
Yeah, man.
Because you and I would look at it and go, I don't notice any difference. She's probably going, it's uneven. It's like because she can see it, right? It's her hair. It's how she likes things.
So I'm starting to get shaggy, man. I've got to go to my guy and try not to get him in any trouble when I do.
Dude, I get my haircut every 2 weeks. So that was a week ago. I know by the end of this week, I'm due. So I'm like, do I finally just break down and shave it all off and buzz it and just be like, all right, screw it, I'm done? I don't know, man.
I don't know, man. What they're going to start doing, like you've seen the cops that measure for the lift on your truck. They're going to come over and start measuring your hair and be like, it looks like it's shorter than it was last week.
You got a haircut.
Yeah.
Dude, it's unbelievable that this is where we've gone. And so I was posting something and someone goes, it's just a matter of time until, the people fight back or whatever, or they just want to see how hard they can push us until the people fight back. And I go, are you kidding yourself? The people have shown they're not fighting back. They're not going to fight back. There's so few of us that actually feel this way.
Yeah.
They're not worried about it at all. We've already shown them we're not going to do a dang thing. We're going to let them control our lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
But along other news, I read this yesterday. This is scary. So a buddy of mine used to work for one of the largest NGOs.
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes, you guys keep wondering why I'm able to call what the government's going to do. And he goes, because they're playing out of a playbook. This is how we would handle outbreaks in other countries. It's just the first time that it's happened in the United States. Yeah. And he goes, so let me tell you what the next phase is. And it's basically, water rationing, food rationing, essentially bread lines, right? All of that. And he goes, that's the next phase. And he goes, now, if that happens in America, that's truly going to scare people at that point. Mm-hmm. So I'm reading last night, the largest producer of pork in the United States had to close down. 5% of the nation's pork comes from this one company, and they had to close because of coronavirus. Too many people were getting it in their facilities, so they had to close the whole thing down. The guy who owns it goes, I've been saying this for a while. You don't understand the problem that's coming. We are going to have a meat shortage because it's affecting us. It's affecting other companies. And when they start closing down, now we start to have the rationing, the runs on the food supply. He goes, that's what's coming. And I'm reading that going, great, because I kind of already believed that was coming. But when you start seeing the food producers saying, we got to close down because we got too many coronavirus cases. Yeah. That's what's coming, man. I don't get to have chickens. It's illegal for me to have chickens.
Man, freaking sucks. Bastards.
Not to mention my dog would kill them, and then we'd never get to eat them.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was joking with my wife this morning. Our dog is really, really old, right? And I'm like, oh, Ricky, we got to keep you healthy because one day we might have to eat you.
Oh, man. No, I think you're right about our food supply line is going to start going next. And you were talking about, like, they've already proven that nobody's going to respond. Nobody's going to do anything. I don't know. I'm afraid you're right. However, the thresholds that have been talked about by the ICE shelter community have usually been related to gun confiscation specifically. And I'm really, if we start covering into some of these things you're talking about and that comes along, I'm wondering if we're going to see it pop off then. We'll see. And I'm not saying I want that to happen, but I'm also not saying that I don't. It's some shady stuff is going on, man. I don't like what's happened to our country.
No. And I don't know that there's, I guess I just don't have enough faith that the American people are going to say enough is enough and fight back. Yeah. And I don't have that faith because I am just astounded at the level of just complicity of we need to do this. Like I said to my wife the other day, I go, so, okay, this guy I knew back in college, he was a really cool guy. According to our Facebook feeds, he and I are night and day, like oil and water, man. We are about as different a people as two guys can be. And so he's, we got to stay at home and blah, blah, blah. And so I put something on my Facebook feed. Any activity that helps me feed my kids is essential. Change my mind. Like that was just what I wrote because it is essential.
Yeah, it is essential.
Anything that helps me put a roof over my kid's head, that's essential. Any activity. And you don't get to judge what that activity is. So he, comments on there, what's the big deal? We're almost done with this. Just hang in there a little bit longer, blah, 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 all this other stuff. And so I responded back to him. I said, look, I respect your opinion. That's how I started. I respect your opinion, but I completely disagree. Here's why I disagree. And I spelled it out. And he and I, every once in a while, will comment on each other's posts. And because we're totally night and day, we're literally, he's Mr. Ultra Liberal. I'm Mr. Ultra Conservative. And yet it was really ironic to me because at the end of it, he goes, well, I guess we'll just have to agree to disagree, stay well or something like that. Like he gracefully accepted it. I think because I didn't come out and start attacking him. But my point to my wife was, all right, help me understand this. Now he said on one of his posts to me somewhere along the lines that he's a high risk in his family. So I don't know if one of his kids maybe has asthma. I have no idea, but he feels that they're at high risk. So here's my point. If you are self-quarantining, then what does it matter what anyone else in the world is doing?
Exactly.
Because if I leave my house, how does that affect you in any way, shape, or form? You've self-quarantined.
You should be fine.
You'd be totally fine. What do you care if I leave the house? What do you care if I get it? It's not going to affect you.
Yep.
So,
you just highlighted the issue of freedom, by the way. Like, if you're in danger, quarantine yourself. Awesome. Cool.
Exactly.
Don't quarantine a non-sick person. Don't take away my freedom. But to the liberal thinking, honestly, to the fascist thinking, it's not just, I need to be safe. I need to make sure you are safe and that everybody else is safe from you. That's why they don't want you to have guns. That's why they don't want you to have freedom. And it's a fundamentally different, even the whole thing of like, well, yeah, I'm essential because I need to feed my family. And in his mind, that's not how it works. In his mind, the government takes care of him. The government will take care of you. Just chill out and let them do it all for you. In his mind, you working is not an essential. In his mind, the government is essential and everything else is not. And that's how a statist thinks. And it's a scary place.
Yeah. And I mean, because you follow that whole reasoning through, because part of my argument to him was, hey, it's great if you don't need an income to feed your kids. That's not the position of 98% of America. Mm-hmm. I almost want to say 99%, basically saying he's the 1%, but I know he's not the 1%. So I was like, I'll put him in the 2%. You're in the 2%. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that's the reality of America. Americans, I mean, you can Google this. The average American is $500 and a $500 emergency away from bankruptcy. Mm-hmm. What do you think is going to happen after this? Mm-hmm. Like when people can actually file for bankruptcy, it's going to be staggering. Like the country is done. It's done. We can't recover from the action that they've done in those short 6 weeks. They've doomed the nation, unfortunately. And no, I don't believe I'm overstating things. I don't believe it'll ever come back. I believe the question at this point is going to be, a new constitutional convention, and they're going to rewrite the Constitution in the way that they want it, which will be a socialist one.
Which they're already living as if that's been done. Our Fourth Amendment, like when you look at the Bill of Rights, and very few of those I'm not sure we have any of them intact. The Fourth Amendment's not intact. The First Amendment's not intact. The 10th Amendment is not intact. I mean, it's already over. So it's a matter of like rubber stamping what they've already done at this point. We don't have them. The Second Amendment is gone. I mean, like it's so simple in the Second Amendment that the whole shall not be infringed, and yet here we are. There's a great scene in Family Guy where they're talking about the Second Amendment, and the one guy is like, they're back in 1787 or whenever they wrote the Constitution. I don't remember exactly, and the one guy's like, do you think we need to be more clear in what we said there? And he's like, no, everyone has the right to bear arms, and it has bears, like the bear arms. Like we can't be any more clear than that. Everyone's got the right to bear arms. Oh man, oh man, one thing I've noticed. I was in a discussion with somebody who would normally be somebody that I would somewhere agree with on things, but his argument is that the general welfare clause in the Constitution essentially makes for a sweeping, anything that the government can deem for our welfare, they should be able to do. And I'm like, well, no. The Bill of Rights protects us so that they're not able to do certain things. They can't suspend the First Amendment. They can't tell churches not to meet. They can't do this. They can't do that. He's like, oh, no, because it's general welfare. And I'm like, what? No, like you don't understand. Like you don't just get to ignore half of or all of the constitutional amendments because this is for the quote unquote greater good. And he couldn't see it. Like to him, it was like, nope, they can do whatever they want. And I'm like, this is insane. Like, but there was no logical argument that would matter to him because in his mind, government gets to do whatever they want. And
my buddy, his daughter is finishing up, I think it's her last year at UCLA, law school, grad school. And she said to him that one of her constitutional classes, she goes, it basically destroyed her whole opinion of the Constitution because they've basically, through precedents, have taken away all of our freedoms. Yeah. It doesn't mean what it says according to the precedents, which is what they rely on. They go, oh, well, technically the Second Amendment doesn't really mean you have the right to bear arms. Here's what it means. And they look at the precedents. And because
rather than looking at the original text, they'll look at
because he's in a class that he's a convicted felon. And so he's no longer allowed to have a firearm. And most people in America who've never been convicted of a felon go, oh, well, that's good. He's a bad guy. He shouldn't have access to guns. Well, wait a second. First of all, I happen to know the guy was innocent and he took a plea deal because if he didn't, he would have gone to jail for 12 years.
Regardless of being innocent, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, because the innocent, you can't beat the government because of the decisions that the Supreme Court has made where they have judicial immunity. That's why they tack on so many charges, because if you're facing 100 years in jail or plea to this and you'll go to jail for 2 years, what are you going to do? What reasonable person says, I'm going to fight it? He was in jail with, he was in basically a white collar jail. In fact, they call it a camp. There wasn't even a wall around it, right? So, I mean, if you leave, they call it a walk-off. Like, literally, you're there voluntarily. And he's in there with doctors, lawyers, senators.
Which, by the way, completely there's no purpose for prison in that. Like, it's like, come on, these are not people who are going to be any harm to anybody else. We're having them log in some time. Like, this is worthless, Anyway, go ahead.
No, and he said that the one thing that he's really glad that he did is that he took the deal, because he was in there with a lot of guys who didn't take the deal and they're like, I'm totally innocent. Why would I take a deal? And now they've got these massive sentences and they're going to spend basically, anywhere from 7 to 15 years in jail, screwed. And so anyway, the point of all that is like, I don't believe that guy who he pled guilty to a white collar crime should have his firearm rights stripped from him.
Not at all.
That's baloney.
It's complete baloney.
And it started out, right? They said, well, first it's, violent offenses. And the people didn't put up any fuss. And then it got, a little bit more, then a little bit more. And now it's like, well, if you spend any time over a year, you lose it. And it's like,
what?
Yeah, if
it's just stupid. It's arbitrary.
If you're in jail over a year, you've lost it. Your rights to firearms.
I tell you what, all of this stuff is making me like, I just get so angry, man. Like, I don't know. I'm thinking that like maybe that's good that I get angry. Go ahead. You were going to say more. I'm sorry, dude.
No, that's basically it.
Yeah. So, wonder if we can share anything practical today that would be of a help to our homies here in the Freedom Nation. And one thing that crossed my mind is, interestingly enough, you can get on Pinterest, which I don't normally recommend. They actually have whole illustrations that people have. You can follow battle tactics. Super interesting. I'm not saying that this is worth anything other than an academic pursuit. There's all kinds of really interesting stuff related to historical and present day battle tactics. Illustrations, images, worth checking out, man. Super interesting, super practical. And now is also a really good time to get the stuff to make sure you're cleaning your ARs and your AKs. There's a lot of good stuff out there to make sure that you can keep it functioning while you're on the move. Really good stuff there. Just going to highly recommend. There's some value in Pinterest for the Freedom Nation. And so go and search a couple of things on there. Highly recommend. In fact, it's crossed my mind. I wonder if we should have some kind of a page where we filter some good information for everybody so they can come and check it out.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
Yeah,
not a bad idea.
I don't know. I'm thinking about that. So
I use Pinterest a lot just because I really love my gun porn. And I just literally just look at guns and I save them. I'm like, oh, that's a beautiful one. Oh, look at what they did to that Glock. Oh, that AK-47 is awesome.
Gives you some good ideas. I love it.
It really does, man. And not that I'll spend that kind of money, because honestly, I look at most of that stuff and I'm like, I want a gun that functions. I can appreciate a beautiful firearm.
Yeah.
But for me, firearms are to be used and I want it functioning.
You know what was really interesting? I watched a video from Garand Thumb where he compared a tricked out civilian AR compared to an M4. And he does all the same drills. And he's like, I try to like alternate how I was doing the drills so I wouldn't like get, accidentally get better at the drill and then run the other gun on it. And then, then the second gun would always be best. So he was alternating back and forth. It was super interesting. And what it came down to is he's like, I was able to do noticeably better with the civilian AR. He's like, it was a tricked out AR, but so much of it he was convinced had to do with the gas block. And he's like, the way that you're functioning the gas block means that your recoil, because on a lot of civilian ARs, we run that gas block way on out there.
Yeah.
And so your recoil does not have as much direct effect. So he's like, I was able to stay on way better with my civilian AR. Now he's like, your M4 is probably going to last longer. It's going to be a little bit more battle rugged. There's going to be all kinds of whatever. But he's like, from an actual ability to do the drills. And then I started thinking like, for a civilian, in a military, M4 is going to need to run for thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds. It's going to be, who knows how many people are going to use it over the years. Whereas your AR, man, we're only going to be talking about a few thousand rounds or so over the course of your use of it, unless you're just a real avid user and you're going to be, taking care of it. I think there's some great value in saying, even if you could get your hands on an M4, I think your AR might be your better gun. If you trick it out the right way, you're not doing a carbine gas block, you're doing a rifle length gas block. Anyway, really interesting on all that. So as you're talking about like tricking them out and all the expensive stuff, some of that's good. And some of it, you get a good functioning gun, you'll be just fine.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've said this before on the show, but how I learned the most about my firearms was building them from 80%ers back when it was legal to do here in California, both pistol and AR. And I never built the uppers. I always, drilled out the lower, put everything in, trigger, springs, buffer tube. I mean, all of that, right? Did all the lower. So I understood that really, really well. Never really understood the upper. And I ended up, again, this is back when it was legal to do. I no longer have this here in California for the DOJ that I know is listening. I had an AR pistol that I had built out from an 80%, which is about the only way you could get them in California at the time. Now you got to have them serialized, and they won't let you have an AR pistol. It doesn't make any sense because it's an 80%er. So if I build my own, how can you tell me I can't have it? And there are videos of cops taking them away from California. People going, well, it's not on the roster. Well, no 80%er is on the roster.
Of course not.
I mean, so you're going to take away all the 80%ers? I mean, you can't. But anyway, it doesn't matter. So I actually just got rid of my 80% lowers because I was like, I'm just not dealing with California DOJ. But that's beside the point. I never learned the upper because I bought the upper from somewhere on the internet. And great upper, I think it's 8-inch barrel or something like that, 9-inch barrel. It's a pistol, right? So I mean, I loved the shape of it. I loved everything about it because it's basically a short barrel rifle without needing an NFA tax stamp. And the gas tube, though, wouldn't stay. So, like, the bolts that hold it onto the barrel would not stay locked onto the barrel. So I would get, a bunch of shots off, and then all of a sudden, it's a single shot. Like, it won't cycle the gun. And I'd never built an upper, right? So I'm like, oh man, how do I do this? So I had to, Google it, and then I, learn all about it. And I'm like, okay, it's the gas tube. And so I had to actually, the only way I could get it to stay where it was supposed to stay was some blue Loctite. Put blue Loctite on the little screws that lock it in, and boom, it was fine after that. It ran great and was my favorite firearm until the rules changed here in California, and I had to basically get rid of it. At least I got rid of the lower. I still have all the equipment for the upper. Yeah. But it's on nothing because if I stick it on a rifle, now I got a short barrel rifle and I'm going to jail. So
you got problems.
Yeah, I'm not sticking that on anything. I just kind of leave it there. Leave it there with one of my blanks that is not illegal to have an 80%er that has not been drilled out. And it's not been drilled out. But if, things come to town.
Case it happens, man.
But I know how to drill it really quick. Takes me about a half hour.
So as you were describing about that AR pistol, I have heard lots of stories about same kind of thing, the issues with gas block, or sometimes the buffer tube has a little bit of effect on a couple of things.
Okay.
They're a little bit harder to tune those things in. And so I've known a lot of people that build ARs, and they're like, if I want an AR pistol, I just buy it, because they're like, we kept running into issues with that. Sounds like the blue Loctite was a solution, though.
It was for me. I mean, and it became my favorite AR because I was like, it's short, it's great. I don't remember what. It's not a stock that I had on it. I had one of the braces on it. It was great, right? I enjoyed it. I really liked it. I was like, man, this is why I want to have property in another state. And then I would rebuild out a lower and just, leave it out there in that other state. Cause you just don't want to get caught in California with pretty much anything. I mean, in California is just going to send your ass to jail and not even think twice about it.
Yeah.
But man, I loved it. And that was the problem that I had, and that was the solution that I found. And I have felt that same way. I was like, if I lived in a state where it was legal, personally for me, because I loved my Springfield Saint, or still do love my Springfield Saint AR so much, I would get the Springfield AR pistol. I think that's the one that I would go for.
Those are fun guns. Yeah.
And I'd probably get a Honey Badger just because you talked about it so much.
Oh, yes. They're just cool. Yeah. So I'm still in my, I think I need to get an AR pistol. I'm still in a place where I'm like, I love the longer barrel, because what you've got in velocity on the round coming out and everything else, there's so many things that, like, you really, for your main weapon, you probably need to be doing something that's in the 16-inch range. And I've looked at all kinds of stuff that makes me say I see the value of that. However, when you start talking about being able to have something that you can go around corners and do really close stuff, holy cow, those pistols look like fun. And so you start thinking about doing something in a 300 blackout, like the Honey Badger, or there's a whole bunch of stuff. There's the Ghetto Blaster. If you ever look at the Ghetto Blaster, also really interesting. That is what it's called. There's all kinds of guns like that. There's some value in that, really, really short AR pistol that you can do a whole lot with. It's good stuff, man.
Yeah. The other thing too that I'd like to get, but again, I don't want to have it here in California, is something you've talked about, and that's the Roni. And the problem is, and I think I've shared this on the podcast before, here in California, the Department of Justice basically said, hey, you can't sell Ronis here in California. It's illegal. And the Glock store, basically, they stopped selling it. And then they went back to them and said, can you show us the law? Where's the law saying, well, no one could show them the law because there is no law.
Exactly.
And so basically what they're saying is, okay, it's illegal to buy, it's illegal to sell, it's illegal to have. The second you put your Glock in it, that's where the problem is in California, because the second you put the Glock in it, they're saying, well, now you have a shroud on your pistol, and now it's an assault weapon.
Oh dear.
And as you know, I mean, the Roni does not, it's not like it increases the barrel. It just basically makes it more stable of a platform, because now
that's all it is.
You've got, a little bit longer thing to hold on to there on the front. And technically the ATF said you can shoulder a pistol brace. So people shoulder the pistol brace, and
because they were never doing that before.
Yeah, exactly. What is that? Just stupid.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, what about the, you see the ATF saying that you could do drive-through gun sales?
Yes.
Is that not awesome or what?
Yeah. Hey, so we had a slight increase in a couple of pieces of freedom. We have that. And then we also have in Ohio, they're allowing you to do takeout margaritas.
They're allowing you to do that in California too, as long as you buy food with it.
Right. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be like, give me the bag of peanuts and 15 margaritas to go.
I was going to say, can I just get my chips and salsa and 12 margaritas? Can I get a pitcher?
Yeah, there you go. I wonder if they would. I bet you they would.
I bet they would. They want to make that money, man. They'll shoot. Yeah. Oh man, it's good stuff, man. Definitely some trees needing water in these days, man. So hopefully the trees will get water soon, and we'll be back in the game
with the blood of tyrants.
What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about, Pete. What?
We're not saying who the tyrants are. We're just saying trees need watering.
I got to tell you this, Pete. This is important. I'm sorry. I know we've gone over, but so my wife's been wanting a pool. So she had a pool growing up. We had one in our first house. She wants to put in another pool. And so she's like, that seems like a good use of stimulus check. And I'm like, I want to pay off debt. I want to whatever. And so we've talked about it. She's actually convinced me from a survivalist perspective, the above ground pool is actually a pretty good way. Especially we start talking about water rationing and things like that. And I'm like, okay, this is a relatively cheap way. And she's like, we're going to be stuck home all summer too. Like this is not going to be over soon. There's going to be all kinds of other things. Let's think about a pool. And so we're looking, and you can buy the 2019. So I'm like, pool. I'm like, all right. So then I'm like, well, as long as we're spending money, I'd really like to get a plate carrier. And she's like, what's a plate carrier? I'm like, well, so I'm trying to think, like, how am I going to explain to my wife why I need a plate carrier? And so I'm explaining a little bit, and she's like, yeah, it sounds like that's extra money we don't need to spend. And I'm like, if you get a pool, I think I should get a plate carrier. And so I'm like, we'll pay off a little bit more debt, well, whatever. But like, I think I'm going to get a plate carrier. I think I'm going to get some level 4 armor, man.
I say go for it. I mentioned before, I won't get a stimulus check. We won't get it.
I know.
We don't qualify.
Sucks.
Welcome to California, man. Where you have to, the income that you need to make to live in California means you're not getting any help.
Exactly. Isn't that interesting?
Yep.
Communists. Anyway, dude, you be safe. Yeah.
Same to you, man. Same to you.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Hey, and we can give a plug for both of our favorite gun stores. Lake Erie Arms is reopened as of today. We took a week off. We're back in. So as of today, we're back open. We're only letting a few people in the store at a time. But you can call ahead. We can do the drive-side service for you. Do whatever you need, but come and get your guns. We'll be ready to rock.
Come and get your guns.
We need somebody from the Freedom Nation to do that parody for us. That would be awesome.
That'd be awesome, yeah.
Man.
When everything turns back on, head on over to Fast OC. They got great training, handgun challenges, everything you want. I actually reached out to Lance this last week and just basically said, hey, how are you doing in all of this? And he had a 3-word answer. That was all he needed to say. I will not repeat it on the podcasts. Then I'd have to mark the podcast as explicit. But let's just say he basically summed up, I think, everything that you and I feel in 3 words. And I was very, very proud of him.
Yep.
So
good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Good stuff. All right, man. Well, everybody have a good rest of the virus lockdown. Be safe. Stay strapped or get clapped.
All right, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the From Concealment Podcast with Pete Mitchell and Dan Sams. Be sure to tune in next week for more gun talk. Also, check out the From Concealment website for more shooting-related goodness at FromConcealment.com.